Hi everyone, welcome to the day second at KubeCon. This is a talk about, do you even merge? Welcome to Maintainers Life. Please bring snacks and boundaries. I can't even see the snacks though, but let's get started now. So who are we? Why did we thought of this talk to be presented at KubeCon? A lot of stuff we need to cover in this talk, but let's start with an introduction about every one of us. I'll start an introduction about myself. Hi everyone, my name is Nitish. I work with Akuity as a software engineer. I'm also an Argo CD maintainer. Did my LFX mentorship with Kubernetes project a couple of years back. Verónica was one of my mentors for that project. And really looking forward to this talk. Over to you.
Yeah, well, I am Verónica López. I am one of the tech leads of SIG release in Kubernetes. And I'm also a software engineer at AuthZed. We're an authorization company based on Zanzibar.
Hey guys, my name is Calcote. I'm a maintainer of Meshery, the 6th fastest moving project in the CNCF. I say that with my chest out. And my full-time role is at Layer 5. We just announced Canvas, which is an enterprise-grade distribution of that 6th fastest moving project, Meshery. Did I say that yet? Okay, good. Very good of you all to be here.
All right, let's talk about expectations first. So this is how I'm going to start with. Every one of us will share a little bit about what they sort of do and what is actually the reality that what people think they might be doing, but what is the reality that they feel like doing. First one I have already written, which is like writing lots of code, merging PRs. You know, a lot of people think we just merge PRs and then review the code. We build cool new sort of features. Everyone reads the new contributing guide. We try to update it every time. Then it comes to the CI checks. We make sure every time the build is successful, nothing is breaking so far, and always saying yes to the great ideas. But I would like to hand over to Verónica and Lee to tell about what the reality actually looks like for this one. Over to you.
Yeah, others have said this before, but saying no is something that I'm bad at, actually. I'll try not to say this anymore, but the fact that Meshery is that high-velocity project, we've got about 3,000 contributors thus far. And that has a lot to do with striking the balance between being encouraging, which is sort of implicitly saying yes, and being encouraging while also redirecting and maybe not outright saying no. But it's sort of a lot of, for me anyway, it's sort of a lot of yes, and let's hold my hand as we go this way. The context for this, this particular topic, this particular aspect of like saying yes or saying no all the time has to do with keeping the project on its rails or keeping the project in scope of what it was focused to be. Also, explicitly keeping it maybe away from what has been stated as out of scope. I'm not sure how many of you have looked at a project. You've either been contributing, maybe you're maintaining it, but that it explicitly lists what is out of scope for its goals. It can be very helpful as you go to reinforce to someone who's showing up and wanting to spend their time and help and assist the project and contribute, that you don't even have to say it. You can politely point them to that falls in the out of scope area. But here's an open issue, or here's another one. So I find that that's a lot of redirection. It's like a yes, and come with me over here.
In my case, I have become way more ruthless with time, and not because I have anything personal against people, but it's mostly the projects that I usually work on are big. So just the volume of contributors, let's say just if one person tells you that an example would be, I usually take care of the cherry picks for new Kubernetes patches, and we have the guidelines and what is acceptable, what is not. But the most important thing are the deadlines, and obviously everyone is super busy and waiting for approvals. And every single cycle, we have someone who's like, Veronica, can you please get this in? And more often than not, I say yes if it's like just a few hours after the deadline. But if it's one day or two, I cannot. And because if I say yes to one, then at scale, that's not good, and then that could become security regressions or things like that we stop having track of. So it became easier to me to say no, because if I said yes, then I would be in trouble with like either my teammates, or like when we were doing retros and things would get broken and then trickling down just because someone accepted something extraordinarily that couldn't get tested in time. But in other projects, like now, I just go through open issues or even PRs, and now I just close them. And someone recently reached out to me, and they were like, can we please have a meeting about this, because I have a very hard time when someone closes a PR of mine without further explanation. And I was like, okay, sure, because as we all know, it's never personal, but for some people, those PRs are babies. And of course, I would never close something that it's a huge amount of work without saying anything, but in this case, it was a small PR, but still. So I think we have to be patient and remember we're all here doing our best.
I remember when I was at KubeCon India, I met a few folks at the Argo booth, and they actually wanted to have some sort of feature built in the project. So they explained the idea to me very well, and my first question to them was like, did you bring this idea in the contributors meeting that happened every day? They were like, can you please bring this up for us? I'll send you all the details, the implementation part. And I think this happens a lot of times where like everyone is busy with the work happening around, and users as well as contributors, if they want something, they will eventually have to ask for it, bring it up in the meetings. I don't have the exact context on what exactly sort of feature or what exactly sort of thing that you're trying to solve. So if you're like someone who wants to get something added to the project, it's always, especially if it's you think it's a big feature, bring this always in the meeting. It's always like very easy to find in READMEs where the meeting is happening. A lot of time, if you read stuff, you're going to find it there. It's very easy to find that. But now coming to the question about why did we decide to do this talk? I just want to highlight these three things. First one, if you see on the left, getting a lot of Slack DMs, about if you can review this PR over and over again. I mean, everyone I feel like goes through this. The second on the right is where the Kubernetes maintainers, Dims and Tim Hawkins, did a talk at KubeCon. I think it was at KubeCon Europe 2024 at Paris, where Kubernetes maintainers were reading the mean comments from the users. And the third one, what you saw is a tweet that Lee posted about. So there's some sort of mentorship program that happens every year. And a lot of students, a lot of contributors try to apply to the project. Eventually, not all of them can make it to the project, which is very obvious. And sometimes some people lash out on the maintainers, which is definitely not a good practice. But considering all of this, not only this, we decided why not talk about this thing so that whenever any contributor who would want to understand like why we are not responding to them or why is it happening this way, just show them this talk, like try to understand our perspective too. So what people don't see, I want to bring this up, what people don't see is like, the first one is about the code reviews, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you know that code reviews are like literally not the easiest part. But I'll hand it over to both of you to explain, like, especially in Kubernetes and Meshri, how do you do the code reviews, and do you see some sort of significance that has occurred so far? Over to you.
Yeah, well, for specifically Kubernetes and, for example, the cherry picks, so if you're not familiar with the process, I mean, this deserves a full new talk, but people from different SIGs and different expertise would submit cherry picks that are meant to be integrated into older Kubernetes versions, the patch releases. So, of course, all of us at SIG Release, who are the ones in charge of shipping this, are not experts in every single aspect of these PRs. We obviously are good at Kubernetes and at our jobs, but there is no way to be, if, for example, in a release cycle, we received 40 cherry picks, it's impossible to know exactly what is going on. So it takes a lot of dedication. What you see in for our work and visible part is that you put looks good to me. That's what people see. But what you don't see is like what it takes for us to put the looks good to me to arrive to that point. Is like you read the code, you read the comments of everyone who participated in the threads. You go through the history of like, is this something that should be really integrated here or not? Read the code, of course, and would this be a regression? Or like, I have, in our specific case, I have Jordan Liggins. He made a really nice spreadsheet tracking regression. So I have it in my mind saying like, if I accept this, will I contribute to that regression spreadsheet? And it's a lot of work that takes a lot of time that people only see as looks good to me.
Yeah, and I don't mean to throw the question off track, but I do want to make sure that, at least of the time that I'm spending, that you all are aware that I'm here for you. And actually, I want to ask, are you know, by show of hands, are you here as a contributor looking to have some empathy for what maintainers have to deal with? Or are you a contributor looking to understand the general roles and responsibilities of a maintainer and how to become a maintainer? Or are you here already a maintainer looking to either commiserate or maybe get some tips on how to enhance your practices? Okay, wonderful, okay. Good, that helps a lot. With that, there's a microphone right there. And unless my co-speakers say otherwise, please interrupt. Like the way that you're going to get the most out of this is, I'll answer any gosh darn question you've got. Bring your worst, but learn something with us today. There's been 3,000 contributors that have worked on Meshery. There's 10,000 Slack members in the Meshery Slack. I've gotten praise. Actually, I just got an award for being an outstanding mentor. And so I've gotten praise, and I've gotten beaten up, people with death threats on LinkedIn for, it wasn't about a PR that didn't merge, it was about a mentorship that didn't go through. And anyway, there's a number of, if you come ask a question, and I'll answer it. But yeah, in terms of PRs, actually, in order to keep up a bit, I'm a bit thankful that we're able to turn on an AI-assisted review. It just kind of helps get some of the initial typos or even, frankly, some things that I just wouldn't have recognized as I'm skimming through it, you know, quite quickly. So that's one of the things that I'm appreciative of as a PR reviewer.
And also, I just want to mention, if any of you have questions in between, feel free to use the mic. I think it's always better if we can pick up the questions in between. That's going to add more value as well to the talk. But another few things that I wanted to mention, not going to cover a lot of it, as you can read the slides, about the security patches. So just an example, just want to give an example of Argo CD project. So we get a lot of vulnerability issues. We have maintained I think 100 plus GHSA folks for Argo CD to fix those vulnerabilities. And now think about how much time it is going to take for only 6 security members to review that that pieces of CVs that have been raised by the contributors already. So there have been 300, not 300 I would say, but 100 plus folks already available of Argo CD GHSA. So, and then people also expect to review the PRs alongside the main open source code base. What I want to mention in this slide is that what you see is a drop of water, but what eventually happens is the reality is the ocean that we eventually have to go through. So yeah, I mean, I just want to mention about the security patches. Everyone, I think, has to go through the code reviews process. Then there are some times when you as a user raise some issues, you want a specific feature, but it doesn't align with the project's long-term goal. That's also the time when you need to understand, okay, this is not something the project wants right now, but maybe in future. You as a user would need to understand, then there's a release coordination, contributing, how are we going to set the timeline for the next release? When are we going to set the calls for our contributors meeting? How are we going to make sure the community is going to support us? And a lot of things happen on the way that people don't generally see. That's what I have written so far. But coming to question now, I'm very curious to know about why saying no is eventually hard. A lot of time people raise the issue about something, and you might see maintainers often saying this is not aligning with the project's goal, and we can't do that. It happens all the time, especially in Argo CD project, but does it eventually happen in Kubernetes? How do you guys deal with that, especially with the users or contributors who want specific features? How do Mesh deal with that? I would like to know that too.
Yeah, so the question is how to say no politely? Or?
How, when you say, so a lot of times people get discouraged when maintainers say no about something, right? First question is, why do you say no about something? I understand it could be not able to, the project's goal is not aligning with that. But why is eventually, why are you doing that? Why? Yeah. And how does Mesh and Kubernetes do
nice.
that for you?
So you did bring up a new point there about roadmap. And so sometimes it's a delayed yes. I don't know if you guys can tell how I'm trying not to say the two letters N plus O next to it, but it's more like, that would be wonderful when we get there. You could absolutely start on it now. Just as a forewarning, you may not find that there are many maintainers that have the time or are willing to spend that time with you right now on it. But you can get started on that feature in advance. A design spec, like a written specification of what that might be, is the right place to start, and we have a template for that. That's sort of the response that I generally give as I go to say, yeah, yes. Okay, I'm glad that some of you appreciate those jokes. Those are not easy to do.
Thank you. Let's try and get this on here. It is on? Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for having this talk. I really appreciate you guys coming and sharing your expertise. One of the things that I'm having trouble saying no, or actually it's really a delayed yes to, is people want X feature, and we can do it now, or we can wait until we're done with some refactor that will make it better, or we can wait on some external factor that's happening on, we'll call it a downstream dependency, that will make it that it won't be within our code base, it'll be a pluggable thing. Being able to communicate that or balance that, what's the best way that you see communicating that kind of scenario, navigating that with somebody requesting something, and have you encountered similar dynamics, and how have you dealt with those? Thank you.
Yeah, well, it depends on the project. The larger the project, it's easier for me to deal with this because there are more guidelines, there are more guardrails, so it's very easy to just pop in a list of links of read RTFM about the docs. Yeah. and then if people still like message me on Slack or whatnot, I will usually just tell them like, no, it's not. But the point is the same, like the larger the project is easier for me. But when it's a smaller project and people really think that their contribution will make a difference, then it's trickier. Then it's more like, okay, let's hop on a call and explain to me why do you think blah, 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 blah. And as I was saying earlier, I have become just more ruthless about it, but always in this tone of voice. Yeah? I will be smiling and telling you like, no, like this is no, but there is no way to move me. Yeah, exactly. And just saying like, no. And even if they try hard, but always trying to be compassionate of what people are trying to get across, and also being prepared, not just saying like, oh no, because it's not in the roadmap. There have of course been times where I let things in that were not in the roadmap and that are like quick fixes and that improve things for sure. And by the way, I also wanted to say I always am on the other side as well, like trying to put together a quick fix or a quick thing that will be highlighted in a release of something. Of course, I've been there. So I also empathize with people, and people have said no to me.
Yeah, there's a couple of tacks that I take when someone comes and suggests that they're willing to spend their time trying to help. It's like, wonderful. What I try to communicate up front is like, let me get behind you. Unless there's, like they have a reasonable request to add something or if it's something that we can't do now, but that we want to get to, and there needs to be a refactoring first, or like, hey, there's some non-sexy things that need to happen first before we can get there. We won't be ready for it. Is one of the things that I'll try to do is give them an audience, give them a venue, and get behind them to say, hey, there's a great suggestion here. Can we rally some other people to that cause? Because for my part, I have to stick to my guns on the here and now, whatever we previously committed to doing, whatever the current deliverables are. But that doesn't mean that, like, hey, so one tact I take is to get behind them and say, that would be wonderful. Let's get your voice out there. Let's see if some others can come join you. And if you can muster enough support behind it, like, make it so that, I'll be very direct and say, like, make it so that we can't say no. Like, you guys are doing it and making it happen anyway. And it's something that we wanted to have happen. So, like, bend our arm. Or, like, but it would be inappropriate of us to change our current focus at the moment. That's kind of one, sometimes that works, sometimes. The other approach that we'll take is, you mentioned extensions or extensibility. One of the things that we're able to hand to people is, like, at least within the Meshery project, there are it's laden with extension points. And it's like, well, and there's an entire GitHub org. There's two GitHub orgs in Meshery. And one of them is github.com/Meshery extensions. And, like, part of saying yes is like, is directing them over to the extensions area, so that because that comes with lesser rules and a bit more freedom and a bit more like, well, dude, yeah, hey, and it's kind of part of that same answer of like, well, let me give you a venue to rally some support. Also, here's an empty repo that's created with the same issue labels and templates and all this, and so go to town, and if you can, and I'm behind you, if you can, and so kind of the same story.
Right. Let me just quickly move to the next one. So I think we already covered this one. Saying no or delaying responses or closing inactive issues isn't rude, but it's responsible. Like, healthy boundaries oftentimes extend the life of a project. I personally really like the approach on how Kubernetes project eventually follows is like, if there's no activity on a specific PR or on a specific issue for a specific period of time, the issue automatically gets closed. And I think this is like really one of the good approaches that they typically follow. Probably will need to take inspiration from them. But what is something that I want to highlight is this one, which is a couple of slides that I want to present right now is the for contributors, what are the do's and don'ts, and then we're going to take a look at what are the for users, what are the do's and don'ts. So I'll start with Veronica. Do you have any specific do's for the contributors who were willing to contribute to the project? Already mentioned few, but over to you.
Well, as I said, RTFM as much as possible. Read all the docs, all the guidelines, so that when you come with your contribution, it's not only the code, but that it's compliant. What tests does it have to have? Sometimes those tests are not important to you, or you think that they are silly, but for us, they're really important because they integrate with other cogs in the machine. It's just knowing the basics, and not knowing, of course, it's fine, and you can ask. There is nothing wrong in asking, and just coming with a beginner's mind, even if you're an expert at whatever it is that you're doing, just be open to learn about the process, etc. Treat people with respect always. Be organized and try to put as much context as possible in the PR. It doesn't have to be long, but link the relevant parts, open issues. That's another thing. Like if you're solving something that you haven't found an open issue for, and it's definitely something that you want to fix, and you have already proven that it's meant to be fixed, open the issue and then immediately link it to the PR. I know this sounds very simple, but those are most of the things that I deal with every day.
Please.
On this particular point, if I see people creating an issue and immediately doing the PR, for me as a maintainer, it's double work. And it also splits the discussion. I would actually recommend the opposite. If you think you have a problem, do the PR directly, describe the PR well enough, what the issue is, and then once we know what the problem is, we can immediately look at the code and see, yes, this fixes it.
Yeah,
so I would, if you don't know, then create the issue first, discuss it, and then take action to rectify the problem.
Yeah.
But if you know already that you have a solution, I would argue that you can do a PR directly.
Of course. I actually have done the latter thing that you described. That's how I work most of the time. From our perspective as maintainers of a project, sometimes it's just easier to, well, not sometimes, it's actually easier, not for the execution of the actual code, but another part of all of this talk is seeing the world from our perspective. And it's people sometimes have OKRs and grooming sessions and things like that, So it's not so much about the actual code and the nitty-gritty parts. It's more okay, what have you been doing? A lot of maintainers, their day job is also this, So they have people to report literally what they did. So just having issues is like a cycle of making life easier for each other. It's okay, I'm here for you as a maintainer. You are here contributing your amazing work. Also help me by making my job more reportable to others, and to track down things. So I totally get your point, but it's more about having organization.
Randomly, one of the things that I encourage contributors to do as we're first starting to get to know each other, and by the way, that statement, as a maintainer and a contributor are first starting to get to know each other, there's a lot to that. There's a recognition that it really is about relationships. And for all of us nerds that would rather not speak to other humans, it's kind of a tough thing to do, is to form a bit of a relationship. Relationships are all built on trust. And trust that you're going to open an issue and actually show up with a PR, or trust that you really did test the things that you say you tested. Or anyway, these activities are built on trust Trust, relationships are built on trust. So as one of the things that I encourage contributors to do as I'm first getting to know them is to, it might be awkward for some contributors, but is to speak selfishly about why they're here and what they're personally, as an individual or as some organization that they represent, either way, what are they looking to achieve? Are they looking to learn something? Are they looking to impact the project in a particular way? Are they looking just to hang out and have a good time, to share knowledge, to, whatever that is? And to be it's kind of awkward for a lot of us, I think, but to just state it selfishly. Because once I'm aware of what those goals, they want to get a byline on a blog post, on whatever it is. They want to elevate themselves, they want to get a tweet out and retweeted by the project. Some of these things that you consider might be inherently selfish is like, it's okay with me. We'd love to tweet. We'd love for you to write a blog post. Like, is to encourage people to state those up front so we don't have to beat around the bush around, like, let's go do that. Like, and anyway, that's just a random note about something that I occasionally encourage contributors to do. So.
It sounds that you sometimes deal with more aggressive people.
Yeah, we like aggressive. Let's do something together. So yeah, but.
Well, I always prefer raising the issues. Even though I know what's the fix going to, I always try to raise the issue first and then raise the PR. The reason is, I think it's always easier to track what sort of problem we're trying to solve, because whenever you create the issues, you can have some sort of labels like, this is a problem that I'm trying to solve related to the controller, even though the PR for that is going to be very simple. So I think that's what I would even typically recommend to contributors as well. Even though you think the fix is very simple, like especially related to code, not the docs something, raise an issue so that everyone can keep track of it, assign the specific labels. That would be like a good approach. But let's talk to the last one, which is about for the users. So a lot of time users expect this feature to be included in the docs. This version is not running. This error repo server example, this component is giving this error. What should I do? So we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts really quick. Over to you. What do you start?
Oh yeah. Shoot. Veronica, do you want to take this one for me?
For the users?
Yep.
Okay. I wouldn't add that much really to what I already said on the user side. It's just help maintainers help you. That's it. Like, it's not just about looks good to me or not, or closing the issue. It's a lot of work behind that, and try to be responsible. It doesn't matter how small your contribution, or especially for large contributions, make sure that you are the owner of it, own the entire process of getting it merged, not just like, oh, I left this here and take care of it. No, like, talk to the relevant people, etc.
And look, I think Jerry Maguire said it best. It's help me, help you. If you're a user and you find a bug, or you want a new feature, have some empathy and describe the bug well, or like, it's a pain in the butt to go collect the logs, document the stinking thing. Some of the projects have issue templates, like as long as your application to university is or whatever. But the more that you help the maintainer, the more that you can take it just as screen recording, like that can work wonders. Yeah, the easier it is that you make it on yourself.
I remember someone yesterday came at the Argo booth and they were like, why don't Argo support the Knative rollouts? And I was like, the answer is very simple, because no one asked for it. Like, you just go and raise an issue and maybe the project is going to support it. So oftentimes the problem is very simple, like why this project doesn't support it is because no one asked for it. Like, that's the simple answer. So if you think you want something, help us. Give us the right information. Why do you want that? And we'll tell you why it should be there or why it shouldn't be there, or what's a better way to have this for you. So I think, yeah.
In the Coop project, I just want to say, like, about the feedback and listening to people, we had a requirement of very specific tests that did not make sense with certain type of PRs. Yet they were in the manual, and we were like, no, they have to have this type of tests. And we were rejecting things until like someone was like, hey, this is stupid. And we were like, yeah, this is stupid. And so we are working on removing that for that type of contributions, So it's just like communication.